Good morning and happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us for this session of our Facilities Fundamentals DIY Workshop series with our plumbing shop. These guys are our resident experts on winterizing your home, especially properties that are going to be vacant or that you may not use as frequently during the winter months. They are going to present to you today, but I wanted to welcome you and say thank you so much for registering. I know we have a few people who registered who could not attend. They will receive the recording, as will those who are in today's session. So afterwards, we'll send you a link so you can access this anytime. And if you have any further questions after the session, or you need anything from facility services, you have my email address. I can get you to the right person. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will go ahead and get started. Hey, Ed, you're on mute.
Is that better?
There we go.
There we go. Okay. We're going to go over winterizing your home. Just go over basically some basic points about what to look for and get you familiar with it. Start out with our objectives is to gain an understanding of the importance of winterizing buildings for long-term or seasonal vacancies. Become familiar with components of your plumbing system, the tools and supplies you may need, and to learn how to contact your utility if necessary. The importance of winterizing. Winterizing protects your investment. If water lines freeze, they will most likely burst, dumping gallons of water and causing thousands of dollars of damage to your building and to any contents. Some people ask, can I just leave the heat on? Yes, you can, but there's an extra utility bill, especially if the property is to remain vacant. And even with the heat on, the heat may go out. And if no one's checking on the property, you won't know it for quite some time until after the damage is already done. Water in your waste lines can also freeze and crack, causing unsanitary conditions within your building. Some of the components of your plumbing system are your valves. Usually you have ball valves or gate valves in a residence. They could be a quarter turn or multi-turn valves. Stops are another type of valve. They're usually located at your sinks or at your toilets or any other plumbing fixtures. Your traps provide a water seal on your drains to keep out sewer gas and are used on all of your plumbing fixtures. You may also have pumps in your house. You may have well pumps or sewer pumps. Other fixtures that you may want to consider are your ice makers, your laundry boxes, your outside faucets, as well as any other plumbing fixture. Some of the tools that you may want to have on hand if you're going to winterize your property are going to be pliers, screwdrivers, wrenches. You're going to want to have some RV antifreeze, chop back, and an air compressor if you're familiar with how to use one. You may also want to contact your local utility, especially if a property is to remain vacant for a long period of time. You may want to have them isolate your water source so that you're not getting billed for the entire time. Usually on your utility bill, you can locate a phone number or a website for the local utility that you use. The main objective to winterizing is to get all the water out of the pipes and to prevent any future damage. Does anybody have any questions for what I went over? All right, we did receive some questions up front, and we'll go over that. One question was, is it necessary to drip all the faucets in your house to keep the pipes from freezing when the temperature drops below 32 degrees? If the temperature drops and it's a drafty house, or it's on an outside wall or over a garage, yes, it's a good idea to keep a very slow run.
Cool area.
Any cool area. If it's interior of the house and it's a well-insulated house, it's probably not as necessary to do that. But running water takes longer to freeze than stagnant water. Another question we had was protecting your exterior faucets. Typically, there is an isolation valve inside the house that you can shut off the water to that faucet and then open that outside faucet and let any water drain out. Some of them have vacuum breakers on them, which would need to be removed in order to let that water drain out. It's important to remove your hoses and any attachments that you have on that. A lot of the newer faucets are what they call frost-free. They actually shut off inside the house as opposed to outside the house. But if something's attached to them, it won't allow them to drain out. Copper pipe.
How do you get the green copper fittings? How do you get green copper fittings off without breaking the copper pipe? You can use sandcloth or anything just to clean the green off of it. But it's kind of common for the copper to turn green in some places if they left too much flux on it. What is the best type of protection for my exterior faucet in the winter? That's usually a cover that you can buy at Home Depot or something. It's just a little styrofoam cover. And that also makes sure that you disconnected that hose if you buy the cover. And should I leave them dripping when we have pipes for freezing? Since they're outside, you shouldn't, especially if you got the cover, because it'll fill full of water and cause it to freeze. Can hose be left outside even if it's disconnected from the faucet? Yes, it can be, but any water in the hose is going to freeze and possibly bust your hose. So it'd be better to pick them up, save a little money. I had to buy a new hose. Winterizing property on unoccupied property. It should probably be, like he said, the utility company should be contacted and the water should be turned off, completely drained, and antifreeze put in the traps just so that it doesn't bust on you. Rental property, though.
All right. Another question we had is, I rent an apartment, but I don't see the landlord coming over to do anything each year. What do I need to do? Also, I have a very drafty door and don't want to pay to heat the outside. Any suggestions? And then years ago, I did the plastic with the blow dryer to seal the windows. Is this feasible to do this with a sliding glass door? Okay. If you're occupying the apartment, if it's a really cold night and it isn't in a drafty spot, yes, go ahead and leave the water spouts running just barely to drip, and that should help that. On your drafty door, they make some things that you get for that. I think they're called draft dodgers. It's like a long sock filled with some kind of insulation. Just place it on the bottom of the door, and that'll help with the draft.
If you have to, a towel.
Or a towel would work. I had used that plastic and the hair dryer thing on windows in the past. Yes, you can do it on a sliding glass door, but you wouldn't be able to use that door. well, that adds up. So yeah, you can, but it would make the door so you couldn't use it. And there was a question about winterizing gas powered equipment. I would contact your local lawn company on that. And if you live in a house that's 130 years old, anything specific you need to do, if you're occupying the house, no, nothing specific more than what we've covered about leaving the faucets running or the outside.
Do want to be sure any drafty areas is sealed up, so air doesn't get to your pipes.
Yeah. No, other thing is in your if you have crawl spaces, cover up the vents, so to make sure that there's no draft going in there. Another concern we had was if you have a lawn sprinkler system, a lot of times those are located in a garage space. You want to remove the backflow device and make sure it's drained out, isolated as well.
Hey, Ed,
Yes.
we had another question come through after I sent you that list. This person wants to know the flushable wipes that you can buy. Are those really flushable?
They're really not. They are and they're not. Anything, when you use toilet paper and you flush it down, the toilet paper breaks up into very, very tiny pieces, to where it can easily flow through the pipes system. A flushable wipe, even though they say it's flushable, they still have like a plastic membrane inside of them, and that keeps that from breaking up. It's kind of like the lamination on a windshield in a car, where if the car gets an accident, the windshield breaks, but the glass stays on that lamination. It doesn't come out in shards. That flushable wipe won't come apart. It'll stay solid in the same shape that it's in, making it easier to catch on any surface inside the pipe, anywhere there's a joint or anything built up on the pipe.
Decompose so it can go away.
Yeah, and so over time they'll build up and it'll create even more of a surface for something to catch on and can cause positive backup. So no, I don't recommend flushing them. I recommend throwing them in the garbage.
I don't know if you can see the chat, Ed, but that question came from Jim McCarter in our IT shop. And he said, ha, I knew it. They are making plumbers rich.
Yes, yeah, they are. Does anybody else have any other questions and anything they'd like to go over?
Do you all see that question?
I do. And
Okay.
yes, they do help with lowering energy cost. I don't think it's enough insulation to protect the water in that water heater from freezing, especially for long periods of time. It would definitely be the best practice if you're going to leave the house for a while in the winter. Go ahead and shut off that water heater. If it's electric, make sure the breaker's off. If it's gas fired, make sure the gas valve is turned off, and then drain that water heater completely out. All water heaters have a drain located somewhere on the bottom of them. So it would definitely be worthwhile draining that.
And plus it would flush out anything that's in
there. And it would flush out anything that's in there. It's not a bad idea to do that on an annual basis as well.
For those who are watching the recording later, the question was, I've seen insulation jackets for water heaters. Are those worthwhile to protect from freezing or to lower energy costs? So that's what they were responding to. Any other questions today? You can type those in the chat. You can unmute yourself and ask those directly. All right, we'll give it a few more seconds in case you're typing in the chat box. But I just want to thank these guys from our plumbing shop for joining us today, for sharing their expertise with us. You all that don't work in facility services may not realize what an incredible team that we have within utilities, custodial, maintenance, you name it. The people that keep this campus running are truly incredible. And I just want to thank these guys for taking a little bit of time out of their day to make this possible today. Do we have any other questions?
Sam, if you come up with if anyone asks any further questions throughout the week, if you want to email those to me, I'd be happy to answer them next
Sounds
Friday.
good. Okay.
I had a question.
Yes. Yes.
I think I sent the question, by email. But anyway, the question was that I was always told that if the temperature drops, I guess below 30 or below freezing, you have to drip your faucets to keep the pipes from freezing. Is it necessary to drip all the faucets, or can you just drip a couple of them?
If your house has a lot of drafts and the faucets that are located on the exterior walls, or if there's a crawl space below your house where maybe a breeze going through there, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and do that overnight. If it's a house that's well insulated and all the fixtures are on interior walls, it's not as necessary, but again, it's not a bad idea.
Okay, it's a fairly new house and I have a crawl space, but it's already encapsulated. I think that's
Yep.
And so, I drip them out of habit because that's what we always did growing up.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was just necessary to drip them all, but.
Like Jeff said, it's always better to be safe than sorry.
Much cheaper to spend a lot on water.
Okay.
Yep.
And then if my water heater unit is located inside the house instead of like in a garage or whatever, I've seen YouTube videos talking about how people should wrap their water heaters. I wouldn't need to do that, would I?
Well, you can get an insulation wrap for your water heater. That'll save on your water heating costs a little bit. It's not going to do much to protect it from freezing, just because of the amount of insulation that would actually be needed to do that. But it would help with your energy costs, so it's not a bad idea to do that either.
So even though it's inside, do it inside as well?
Yes. Yeah. It would help. Like I said, it would help you save money on your energy bill.
Okay. And where would you get a wrap? Do I just get it from like the local Home Depot or Lowe's?
You can get them at Home Depot. You can get them at Lowe's. You can get them at any plumbing supplier. They're readily available in a bunch of different places.
And it's also still a good idea to keep your faucets wrapped during this time of year, winter time.
Your outside faucets?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely do that.
Yes. Keep them wrapped. Make sure any attachments you have on them that you remove them in the wintertime. Make sure your hose is disconnected. If you have any of those little splitters that some people put on them so they can run two hoses, make sure those are taken off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's an isolation valve or a shutoff valve inside the house that leads only to that outside faucet. It's a good idea to go ahead and shut that off as well in the winter months.
Now, I noticed that when I went to Home Depot, that they had two different types of those spigot covers. Like the one is just the big foam one that you can put on top of it. And then they also had one that's like a bag, insulated bag. Doesn't matter which one.
I haven't seen the insulated bag ones. I am familiar with the foam one, and it's got the little hook inside that
Yes.
that you attach. That's what I've used in the past. like I said, I've never have used the bag type. I don't even think I've
Stick
seen
with
one.
the phone because it's
Yeah.
it's sealed real well.
Okay. And then I have one more question. Sorry to hog.
No problem.
I have the interior, well, the door going into the house. I have an outside storm door, and like it doesn't have, it has a little space in between the door at the bottom. How could I insulate that part to keep the air from coming in?
Well, at Home Depot or Lowe's, you could pick up a weather strip for that at door.
Mhm.
It's usually a thin metal strip with screw holes in it, and then it has a wider rubber strip at the bottom of it that would hit on your door or jamb and help block that draft. There's also you can get like put a towel in front of the door.
Mhm.
They have some commercial things called like a draft dodger, which is basically a sock that you can put up against the bottom of the door that would help stop any draft from coming in.
They also have a little strip that has adhesive on one side if you need to stick it to the side if it's on the side.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Candace Randall, or I'm sorry, Sheehan, that works. I made a name on you. That works in our utility shop as well. She has put a link in the chat box that has that styrofoam cover just at Lowe's, your normal everyday home repair store. So if anybody's interested in that, that link is there in the chat if you want to click that before we end. Any other questions today? I have a whole list of things for my husband to do now after this conversation. All right. Thank you all so much for joining. If you do come up with questions, feel free to send those to me via email or directly to Ed. He was CC'd on the email that you received as well, and we'll be happy to answer those. Thanks again. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Ed and Jeff, for doing this today.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
See y'all next time.